Welcome back. This is Susheta from Swami Vivekananda Institute of Modern Science, Department of Media Science, and today we'll be discussing about a mode of communication which is the normative theory of communication at the press. This is basically divided into four structures.
To start. Okay, now when we are talking about the normative theory, so let's although this theory is a combination of 4 centuries altogether, and it was basically a theory which is based on observation and not on presumption. So but then when it was propounded together in a book, that was in 1956, and it has been proposed that press has to operate on these theories. So now what are those theories? Theory number 1 is the authoritarian theory, 2 is the libertarian theory, 3 is the social responsibility theory, and 4 is the Soviet totalitarian theory. Well, now let us know addition theory by Dennis McQuell. So it's a mass communication theory. It's an introduction to the mass communication, and now in 1980 it has developed into a democratic participant. Now when we talk about the first one as the authoritarian theory, what is the authoritarian theory? Now what authoritarian theory, as the word says, it has to describe the authorities, like, so whoever is on the top of the authority, or any country, be it a democratic country, a bureaucratic country, or a capitalist country, there are authorities on top. Like there can be a president, there can be a king, there can be a minister or a prime minister, or so there has to be an authority on the top of the main authoritarian structure. So when we are talking about the authoritarian structure, so what authoritarian theory holds that it is the journalism should always be subordinate to the interest of the state in maintaining social order or achieving political goals. So when we are talking about political goals, so quite obvious, like whatever theory we are talking about, it has to be a under an authority. কি বলছো বলো?
আমাকে রেসপন্ড করেনি বলে কেটে গেছে।
বেশ হয়েছে, রেখে দাও, কেন বাদ জ্বালাচ্ছ আমাকে? So when we are talking about the authoritarian theory, so journalism is a major part of the authoritarian theory to a central authority. So who is for the state? So it can be a minister, it can be a king, it can be any of the authority. So at a minimum, the press is expected to avoid any criticism of government officials and do nothing to challenge the established order. So as a whole, you cannot expect statesmen or telegraph or any of the media houses like ABP Anando or R Plus or whatever the news agencies are in a democratic country. They are not supposed to criticize the government or the government officials. So what is an authoritarian theory? It is a responsibility of the media, and that is basically to support and advance the policies of the government in power and to serve the state. So basically journalist or the press is supposed to serve the state and not criticize it. So that is according to the authoritarian theory. So authoritarian theory system is basically the relationship between the state and the media. In the authoritarian system, it's vertical, in that the information it comes in from the top, the government, to the bottom, which is the media. So it is a basic structure or a basic information from the government to the media. Now coming to the next part is the libertarian theory. Now what is a libertarian theory? A libertarian theory is basically, it was adopted in England after 1688. As we have said, like this, the whole normative theory is a combination of 4 centuries. So when we are talking about the libertarian theory in this book, Siebert goes on to explain the libertarian theory, which is called the free press theory. It is like the press has the liberty. The press has a liberty. Now, what do you think? What do you mean by that the press has a liberty? Now, when we talk about the press is a free body. It's a free body. They have their responsibilities and they have their authorities. So in contrast to the authoritarian theory, libertarian theory as per the view of the libertarian theory, that rests in an idea that the individual should be free to publish whatever he or she likes, but it cannot go against the state, or it cannot go against the interest of the public. So in the libertarian theory, attacks to the government policies are fully accepted and even encouraged. Moreover, there should be no restriction or import or export of media messages across national frontiers. That means my the problems or the impacts or the informations of my country cannot go to Pakistan, or the informations of Pakistan cannot go to Nepal, or the informations of Nepal cannot go to Bangladesh, or the informations of India cannot go to US. So it's like that. But in this theory, the libertarian theory, press is liberal, or press is free to talk for the interest of the people of the country, but can go against the authorities, or can go against the government, people of the government, or the authorities of the government. So basically, when we talk about the early libertarian theory, so it's basically very different from the authoritarian theory. Authoritarian theory, press cannot go against the authorities. Libertarian theory, yes, they can, but it should not be inter frontiers, or it cannot cross the national frontiers. So you cannot do anything which goes against the state or against your country. So you have to be you have to be really very very loyal towards the country. That's the first thing of the libertarian theory. So when we talk about the libertarian theory, best known embodiment of the ideal is the first amendment of the US Constitution, which signifies that Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of the speech or of the press. So press is free in the libertarian theory. Press is free. The formulation expresses the ideal only in negative terms, as a freedom from state intervention. So, well, as I said, the press is free, but cannot go against the state. That's the only, the hurdle which a libertarian theory has. So, when we talk about the libertarian theory and when we explain it in a explanatory way, so supporters of the theory believes strongly in the power of unrestricted public debate and discussion to create more natural ways of structuring society. So basically, if according to libertarian theory, the basic justification is if the press is free to talk, but the only hurdle is, or only restriction is, it has to be for the people. And as for democracy says, democracy is for the people, by the people, and of the people. So libertarian theory basically supports democracy. So when they talk about something which is for the people but can go against the government as a whole. So this libertarian idea are also seen in the heart of the United States long-term experiments with democratic self-government. So presently USA is supposed to be a democracy. So obviously they believe in the libertarian theory. So how are the media controlled in the libertarian theory? By self-right process of truth. So basically media is its own judge in the libertarian theory. They judge that what is to be said and what is to be not. So what is true, what is self-right process of truth in a free marketplace or ideas or by the court. So it is prohibited. What is prohibited? Defamation is prohibited. You cannot defame anybody. You cannot defame the president. You cannot defame any authority. Any obscenity. You cannot, or you cannot, show anything which is obscene. Indecency. Wartime sedition. So if it is a wartime, you really cannot act as a seductive, or you cannot seduct your authorities or the other authorities too. If US is in a suppose in a situation of war with Russia, so media cannot portray anything which some way influences the war. So you have to be really very very liberal, very very responsible towards your own authorities, and the sensible use of authorities. That is the most important part in the libertarian theory. Don't you think that is very tough at times? But you have to maintain that. In a libertarian theory, you have to maintain that sensibility. the sensible ownership, the essential difference from others. It is like a sensible ownership. It has its strengths, it has its weakness too. What is the strength of libertarian? It's like a very simple value media freedom. The media is absolutely free to talk. It has values on individuals. Yes, it does. It preclude, like it prevents from happening government control of media. It's like government cannot say that you'll have to say this and you have to show that. No, media has its own strength. It has its own responsibility. It has its own freedom. Now there are weaknesses too. What are the weaknesses? It's overly like optimistic about media willingness. Now when you talk about media, media is basically governed by humans, and humans are opt to go wrong at times. Humans can all or not cannot always go right. It may go wrong at times. So in it is a very optimistic theory. So if in case the editor or the owner of the media house goes wrong and they leave their rationalism and they became a bit of pessimistic or get influenced by some party or some logic, then the media goes wrong. So it is very basically an optimistic view, which realistically doesn't happen so optimistically, or it is not that positive at times, keeping it a very sensible term. Now, the third option is the social responsible theory. Now, as the word says, social responsible theory, it is basically the society as a whole and the responsibility. So unfortunately, most early libertarian had an unrealistic view of a long, how long it would take to find the truth and establish an ideal social order. So as I said, because in a libertarian theory, the most like illogical problem is it is basically run by humans and they can go wrong. So even at times press, you cannot rely on press that they will screen out the truth or they will screen out what exactly should happen. So in the 18th century, it became clear that truth couldn't be quickly or easily established because, whatever we see, we find or we think it is to be true. It may or may not be true. So whenever new media technologies are invented, it is necessary to decide how they should be regulated. Somebody has to regulate that what is true and what is not. So the debate over communication or communicating freedom never ends. So sometimes the balance shifts towards expanding freedom, and other times freedom is basically curtailed. Like either sometimes even the freedom of press is being curtailed. So the question is why it is necessary to place limits on the communication freedom. It's very simple. The common reason could be there do the rights guaranteed to you, like the rights which the press has or the press enjoys may or may not be, or at times the press can compromise on that freedom. So if the freedom is being compromised or it is influenced, then obviously the social responsibility is being compromised. So when we talk about the social responsibility, the feeling is particularly developed in again it has started from US and the 1800s. So during that time, press and it was the yellow journalism era. So the public confidence in both business and government was shaken by recurring depressions. So widespread corruptions and injustice. At that point of time in the 18th century, US was basically going through a yellow journalism. So what it exactly it is, the public respect for the newspaper also receded as the publisher pursued profits and created news to sell papers. So basically, as I said before, taking things responsibly. When yellow journalism, what it exactly it is. So how it is said, like to sell your newspaper or to sell news or to increase, as our words at present say, to increase the TRP. The press used to sell news. They used to create news. May or may not be true. They used to create sensation. They used to create seditions. And that at the end used to sell news. So basically press was for sale. So during the 1920s and the 30s of the new normative theory of mass communication began to emerge that rejected both radical libertarian and the idea of technocratic control. Neither technology nor the libertarian theory, both were rejected because both has its negative points or the disadvantages. Ultimately, the public was basically suffering due to the misutilization of freedom of speech or the misutilization of freedom of press. So, as pressure for government regularization of media mounted, industry leaders responded with efforts to professionalize. Rather, they set control on media to the government agencies. Now, media managers went to record with pledge to serve public needs. So, obvious. Now, the primary or the most important factor turned out to be, after the rejection of both the libertarian and the technocratic control, was that whatever news has to be made has to be for the public as a whole, nothing else. Not authoritarian, nor libertarian, neither the technocratic control. It has to be for the public, the real sense of democracy. So, realizing that the market has failed to fulfill the promise that the freedom of press would reveal the truth. So, the Commission of Freedom of Press provided a model in which the media had certain obligations to society. Now, the whole obligation went to the media, that media has to first work for the society and then anything else. You cannot create news, you cannot manufacture news, you cannot increase your TRP by selling news. You have to be sensible enough, and your obligation has to be for the society. So there came a new option, was the basically the Hutchins Commission. Now, Hutchins Commission. So what is Hutchins Commission? When we talk about the Hutchins Commission, Henry Luce, CEO of the Time Inc., provided funding for an independent commission to make commendations concerning the role of the press. So, well, so many theories have come up, so many, the freedom of press, the libertarian theory, the authoritarian theory, the technocratic theory. So after so many things came to one position where there is press, but the press is not being responsible enough for the society. They are selling news, they are creating TRPs, they are miscalculating, they are sort of like influenced by some parties. So ultimately, the press is not being responsible. So there has to be somebody or some commission to regulate the whole thing. Then came up the Hutchins Commission of Freedom of Press. It was established in 1942 and released the major report of its finding in 1947. Again, we have to remember 1947 is the date wherein India became free. Not only that, it was basically at the end of the Second World War. So the commission members were sharply divided between those who held strongly on the libertarian views and those who thought some form of press regulation was very, very necessary. Somebody thought that no, libertarian theory is absolutely perfect. Press has to be liberal, press has to be free. Another thought, no, press cannot be made free because press can be influenced. Press are manufacturing news, they are creating news, they are selling news. So there has to be some format where the press has to be regulated. Factors, like when we are talking about the libertarian theory, quite obvious that, you know, if you make the press liberal, quite obvious they will have its own mode of operation. So the press will not, without the libertarian theory of press, it says like, you know, the press will be free, and as per the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, they will create news and they will sell the news. So quite obvious what happens is it's been influenced by some way or the other. So it has to be protected. The Hutchins Commission was basically incorporated so protect the society from the influence of press. It has to have some responsibility. Now, but when the Hutchins Commissions were made, it was a combination of two separate identities, two separate group of people. Now, they were absolutely sharply divided. What? One, who were basically supporters of the libertarian theory, and they said no, the press has to be liberal, the press has to be free, and the press has to have the have the options, or press has to have the power. Press has to have the power to say or do whatever they want. But similarly, there were another group in the same Hutchins Commission who said no, there has to be some some way or the other, you know, there has to be some group or which should have the social responsibility, So as per the social responsibility is concerned, they should be like, even if the press is liberal or even if the press is free, it has to have certain do's and don'ts. So when it is basically a preeminent intellectual of the day. So the Free Responsibility Press offers an acute, liberal, and impassionate indictable of the nation's mass media. There's basically a 133-page report content about the press is to be free and proposed to serve democracy. Like that is the Hutchins Commission, that the press has to be free, but it has to serve democracy or serve the people. So report calls of the press to the improve itself to the name of morality, democracy, and self-preservation. As we said before, that it has to go through a self-preservation. But the next part is the Chicago School. Now, what is the Chicago School? So the Chicago School, it is again the next development of the Hutchins Commission. So like what it is, it basically says that it's a great community, so comprising hundreds of small social groups. So if the whole press is being distributed in smaller groups, so at least some people will speak the truth, and it will be sort of like a competition between, so that it's if it is like there are people who belong to a smaller, weak, pluralistic group, so they will not be neglected or degraded. So the perspective also helps that the press cannot be ruthless. So it has to be what? The social responsibility was basically defined. What is a social responsibility? So by Maxwell, what is it? Number one, media should accept and fulfill certain obligations to the society. So media, wherever it is, it can be a print media, it can be a television media, radio, or whatever the mass media it is, it has to fulfill the social obligation first. So to the number one, for any media house, society should be number one. So whatever they do, it has to serve the society. Two, the obligations are mainly to be met by setting high or professional standard of informativeness. So whatever they do, it has to be true, it has to be accurate, the objectivity and balance of the news. So basically, the third one is accepting, applying these obligations. Media should be self-regulating within the framework of the law and established institutions. So as we said in the libertarian theory, the first and the foremost was self-regulatory. So the press has to regulate itself, that this is true and this is not. If I am the press, I am to be responsible. I should understand what is to be done and what is not to be done, what is to be said and what is not to be said, what is true and what is not true. So the media should avoid whatever might lead to crime, violence, civil disorder, or give offense of minority groups. So strength and weakness of the social responsibility. Very simple. Strength is value media responsibility, value audience responsibility, limit media institutions in media operation, allows reasonable government control of media, values diversity and pluralism, aids powerless. Now, appeals to the best instincts of media practitioner and audience, but the social responsibility does have its weakness too. If you are talking about the strengths, it has its weakness too. What are its weakness? It is basically overly optimistic over media willingness to meet responsible. Obvious factors. Even today, is the media really responsible enough? Is the media really responsible enough that what is to be said and what is to be not, what is true and what is really not true? So it is basically, when we talk about the social responsibility theory, it is more optimistic than being sensible. It is overly optimistic about individual responsibility because, again, media heads or the media authorities are human, and human are supposed to be influenced, or human are ought to be into business. Sometimes they manufacture, sometimes they sell for money. So estimate the power of profit motivation and competition, legitimize status quo. So it's when today, even today, if you watch 4 channels over the time, half an hour each, quite obvious, in total span of 2 hours, if you watch half an hour of each channel, 4 channels will speak the same news in a 4 different way, as per their TRP, as per their manufacture of TRP, or as per the influence of some party or the other, or some people or the other, because it is basically dependent on the individual aspect. So parallel the Soviet communism, the totalitarian theory. The last thing, the Soviet totalitarian or the communism. We talk about Karl Marx, obvious, the Marxism. Russia has been the main, the major sort of like post or the main influencing part of the communism. So apart from its name, the Soviet theory is closely tied to specific ideology, the communism by Karl Marx. So when we talk about communism of Karl Marx, so Seiber traces the roots of this theory back to 1917 Russian Revolution, based on the postulates of Marx and Engels. So the media organizations in this system were not intended to be privately owned. So no media houses will be privately owned. It has to have its government interference, and where they serve the interest of the working class. So mass media in the Soviet model are expected to be self-regulatory with regards to the content of their messages. So again, as per the regulatory theory, in communism also press is self-regulatory. So press has to understand that what is to be done and what is not to be done. So democratic participants of the media theory. Now, democratic participants theory are proposed to be recognitions of new media development. This is what we are basically experiencing till today. From 1960 onwards, it's till today. Call could be heard for alternative grassroots media expressing the needs of the citizens. So in this era, the press is supposed to understand the social responsibility. It is for the people as per the democracy says, plus it has to be self-regulatory. So the theory supports the rights to relevant local information, the right to answer back. So press can answer back. So that's the reason in Star Anundo we can see that a journalist or the vice president of Star Anundo presently, Shumon De, he questions back. So whatever he talks in the media, whatever is the news, he, it's like he accumulates people together on one unbiased platform and questions back. So that is the self-regulatory mode of media and the right to question back. So the interaction of social reaction in small scale setting of community interest group or subculture. So democratic participation theory, the philosophy, what is the philosophy? So reaction between the commercialization, the monopolization of privately owned media, and against the centralization and bureaucratization of public broadcasting institution. So now when we talk about the democratic participation, now when we talk about democracy, there are commercialization. So media is a sort of business. They earn, they sell news, they sell they're not supposed to sell news. Basically, they are supposed to put in news in a self-regulatory on a method, but they can sell advertisements to earn. It is basically monopolization but it is not monopolization. It is against monopolization because there is not one media. There are under the media platform, there are so many media houses working together side by side. They are privately owned as well as they are government-owned organizations. So they are centralization that who is the centralization? The Press Trust of India and the bureaucracy or the public broadcasting institutions. So when we talk about the development media theory, so the theory seeks and explains the normative behavior of the press in countries that are conventionally classified together as developing countries or the third world countries. Who are the third world countries? Excepting US, UK, I think US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, all the European countries, all others are almost like a third world country. So it too is not easy to locate in any particular institution or country because it encompasses a great variety of fluctuating economic and political conditions. So whatever the political or economic condition of India is at present, it is not as same as Nepal, or it's not the same as Bhutan. Again Bhutan or Burma or the other countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan. So everybody has their own fluctuating economy or the political conditions. So it will be different from one country to other. So development media theory basically intends to recognize the fact that the society undergoes a transition. So it has to be as per the transition, and lack of infrastructure should not be. There's like money or tradition or professional skill. Even the audience need to sustain. So development media theory, the major tenets are media must accept and carry out positive development tasks in line with nationally established policy. 2. Freedom of media should be open to economic priorities and development needs of the society. 3, media should give priority to their content, to the national culture and language. And 4, media should assist the government in any development projects. So that's the reason this is a combination at present. That is democratic participation. So here we come to the end of the normative theory of communication.